Son of a gun. What am I going to talk about? What am I going to talk about? This is called Stress Going Onto the Radio. Hi, Jenny. How are you? Kim Jellin, thank you for coming on in. Gorgeous Jules. UFO Garage. Hey, Ben, thank you. Cherry Pepsi Mike, that's a nice tie in your picture. Did you tie that yourself or is that a clip-on? Be honest. NP, good to see you. Kim Jellin, always a pleasure to have you here. Greg Moyes, thank you for joining us.
The Google subscriber you have called is not available.
Apparently.
Please leave a message.
We are in trouble. We are in trouble. Hold on. From the mountains of central British Columbia to you listening around the world, this, my friends, is Spaced Out Radio. I am your host, Dave Scott, sitting in the captain's chair of SOR headquarters. We welcome you to tonight's show on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. If you want to take a listen to our archives, they are free for you by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. You can follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Tonight's show is brought to you by Chive Charities. Help make the world 10% happier by visiting Chive Charities today. You can find them on our website. Now, we are scheduled to have Patricia Avant on the show tonight to talk about a great documentary that she has created called Black People See UFOs Too. And we're going to get to her, but all of a sudden, like literally about 3 minutes before the show, she couldn't hear me on the phone. I could hear her. Our audience on YouTube could hear her, but we couldn't hear her, or she couldn't hear us, I should say. So we are trying to fix this right off the bat here and try to get it going. I'm trying effortlessly to get this thing going. But, you know, the show has to go on. And while we're dealing with the tech issues, because I don't have a producer or anybody like that kind of helping us out. So it's just me, myself, and the lovely technology that is kind of joining us here on this show, and we are trying effortlessly to get her here, and hopefully, just hopefully, we can. This is a topic that I think is very important to the UFO field because it's very culturally diverse. It shows another side of ufology, one that I think has probably been ignored quite a bit over time, and Patricia has literally said, you know what, she's noticed it too, and wants to deal with it. And this is why we are bringing up this very important topic. Black people see UFOs too. The problem is the phone lines aren't working very well. So I'm trying her from my cell phone. I'm trying her from our Skype line as well, which we do connect into. And so that's how we are trying to get this done. So anyways, I got to talk here and make a show happen. By the way, I don't know if any of you are football fans, like NFL fans, okay? Cleveland Browns starting quarterback Baker Mayfield went on Twitter and literally caused a little bit of a ruckus. I don't know if you guys heard it or not. I really don't. Corrence, the booking guy, can you try and get a hold of Patricia via email just to see if she has another phone number that we can try her at? That would be absolutely great. But Baker Mayfield of the Cleveland Browns, their starting quarterback, former first overall pick in the NFL draft. This is his latest tweet. This comes from yesterday. He tweets out, almost 100% M, his wife Emily, and I saw a UFO drop straight out of the sky on our way home from dinner. We stopped and looked at each other and asked if either of us saw it. Very bright ball of light going straight down out of the sky towards Lake Travis. Anyone else witness this? So there's been over 40,000 people who have jumped on this, given it a like, and trying to make words and everything that we're going to, that we are trying to, make happen. So anyways, Baker goes in. Thank you, Corrence. I appreciate that. Baker goes in and puts this on Twitter. Well, Colin Cowherd from the Herd football show. Now, if you know Colin Cowherd, okay, you know that he's pretty pointed, pretty directed, and at times pretty arrogant. At least I think so. Okay, in regards to the way he broadcasts, but it's his style. That's why he gets paid mucho dinero in order to make this happen. So what does he do? Colin goes out and says you would never hear a franchise quarterback talk about things like this. He goes, Joe Montana, Troy Aikman, Terry Bradshaw, and Tom Brady have never seen aliens. I would prefer my guys don't talk about it. I mean, it's in the off season, but for Colin, there is no off season. And he decides that, as a broadcaster and a so-called football expert, that these guys aren't allowed to have lives or have, apparently, UFO sightings. So he absolutely rips Baker Mayfield on this. Rips him. Basically calling him an idiot for talking UFOs. That this is not something that a star quarterback in the world's greatest football league should be talking about. But here we are talking UFOs. So here's what happens. Tom Brady, the GOAT, literally 7-time Super Bowl champion, responds on Twitter to what Cowherd said and says, how do you know I've never seen aliens, Colin? Boom. There's the tweet. Now, a guy named Greg at Rogue Bigfoot replies to Tom Brady, says, go on Spaced Out Radio to tell Dave Scott SOR about your sighting. So I said, yeah, at Tom Brady, let's not talk football, but some aliens. Invite is open. Now, I'm 114% sure that is never going to happen. Ever. But it's an interesting story nonetheless that the GOAT is talking about aliens. So, of course, I have to tweet, the GOAT has aliens. You have to. You have to be able to do that, all right? It just works that way. So it's very interesting how all of a sudden the subject of aliens can all of a sudden deter a starting quarterback, a young up-and-coming starting quarterback in the NFL, that, that aliens are taboo. We can't be talking UFOs. We can't be talking aliens. You know what? I want that to happen. I want them to talk about it. You know why? It makes for easier understanding that when we get people like that who are talking about it, people in those categories. Hold on. Patricia, are you there? No, she is not. My goodness. I wonder if she had like a power outage or something. I wonder. But anyways, continuing on. What do you guys think about trying to get, when you see star athletes or movie stars come out with their sightings? Do you like it? Do you not? Does it annoy you? I don't think it does anything to hurt the field, but I do believe that it doesn't do anything to enhance the field, so to speak. It's not taking the step forward. It's not carrying the ball over the line of scrimmage. It's not carrying the hockey puck over the blue line. Hey, Corrence, the booking guy, can you try those numbers from your end just to see if you could get a hold of her? I would appreciate that. We're waiting on trying to get a hold of Patricia Avant. We're having some phone issues where she is because we were having a conversation. We were all connected a few minutes before the show, and then all of a sudden her phone just cut out. She couldn't hear us. Couldn't hear us. Sad news coming out of the hockey world, by the way, not to make this a sports show. But Wayne Gretzky's dad, Walter, has passed away. Now, for a lot of American people and people around the world, this is not a big deal. In Canada, Walter Gretzky was just as famous as Wayne Gretzky. He was known as the Canada's hockey dad, about supporting his child, fighting through the hockey politics when especially Wayne was younger, when Wayne was like 9, 10 years old, playing with kids 14, 15 years old and absolutely dominating them. And today, he passed away. He had been battling Parkinson's disease, and I'm very sad about this. I actually got to interview him and meet him a number of years ago, and it really hurts, because Walter Gretzky was the epitome of what Canadian hockey dads are like, watching our children skate on the ice and play a game that they love. And yes, Corrins, I have tried both numbers. And we're not getting anything. So I'm just wondering what's happened. But anyways, Walter Gretzky passes away. I know he was probably close to 90 years old, but either way, this one hurts. No relation, no nothing, but this one hurts all of Canada and everybody involved in hockey in Canada and everything, because he was such an important figure and fixture, not only in Wayne Gretzky's life, but in supporting every child who ever wanted to play hockey. And, it just sucks. It just really, really sucks when you got that happening. We're continuing on trying to get a hold of our guest, Patricia Avant, having some phone issues on her end, and we are moving right along here. So anyways, looking in our chat rooms and on Twitter, what do you think? Should athletes, movie stars, or whomever literally come out with their UFO stories on social media? Do you think they should? I think they should. I'm curious. Do you like it when movie stars, rock stars tell their stories? I do. I don't think there's anything wrong with it because they are human. Like I said, though, what I don't like, is the minute somebody comes out, or have you ever noticed this? I was talking to a friend of mine earlier today after this Tom Brady thing, or this Baker Mayfield tweet came out. And I was talking to him, and his name is Sean. And I said, Sean, what do you think about this? He goes, does nothing to help us out. Push the field forward. But here's the other thing that bugs me about this topic that I mentioned to Sean. You ever notice that when somebody's career has been washed up for like 10, 15 years, 20 years plus, and they're just itching to get their face back in front of the camera, that it's always like a reality TV show or a paranormal / UFO / cryptid show? You ever notice that? I can't stand that. I'm not even a fan of Stormy Daniels getting a television show as a paranormal expert. I'm not a fan of it. Just because she has a name for so many different reasons, that all of a sudden she wants to play ghost hunter on TV, right? She wants to play ghost hunter on TV, and she's going to end up getting a television show out of it. You watch. I know they've already filmed it. I don't like that. I think it cheapens what we do. I think it cheapens what we do, and it puts another laughter on the subject. You know, or when you hear like somebody from the Brady Bunch family going on, yes, I saw a UFO back in 1983 and it scared me. There were lights in the sky. It was about 15,000 feet above me. I couldn't tell what it was. I started to blame Marcia. Who else do you blame in that situation? You got to blame Marcia. But that's the way it goes. That's just the way it goes. Right? You know, the infomercial crew. Thank you for that. Overprotected 1111. I appreciate that. Yes. It's Marcia's fault. Marcia. You know? Look, there are some talented people. Look, Rob Lowe's show when he was on the air, and let's face it, he hadn't done much in the acting industry in a few years. Not many, because he did star on that television series with Martin Sheen when he was president. I forget the name of it. Good actor. But all of a sudden he's a crypto researcher. All of a sudden he's a ghost hunter. All of a sudden he's a ufologist. With him and his boys. Cool show to do. Very cool show to do. Thank you, Corrance. Corrance is trying to get a hold of Patricia right now. And he's getting the same voicemail issues as I am. It's too bad. She sounds like a wonderful, wonderful lady. Wonderful lady. But the serious part about it is, Race Fan says, that's BS, Dave. People that don't have a clue should not be getting TV shows about things they don't know anything about. But it's the face and name recognition. If you and I were stars back in the 80s, we could get UFO or ghost hunting shows. We totally could. We could paint our faces up in camouflage and get our own TV show. It's true. I totally believe that we could. Why? Because you have namesake. I mean, when are we going to see Eric Estrada move from the infomercial land to all of a sudden being a ghost hunter? That's what I want to see. I want to see Ponch ripping up with Zach Bagans as the newest member of the Ghost Hunters crew. Or Ghost Adventures crew, pardon me. That's what I want to see. I want to see Ron Popeil invent Ghost Hunter 6000. Set it and forget it. Who knew ghost hunting could be this easy? Only 3 easy payments of $39.95. 3 easy payments of $39.95. Ghost Hunter 9000. Set it and forget it. Oh, come on. That is funny. All of you guys should be laughing about that. No, our guest, just so you're wondering why I'm babbling here, our guest, Patricia Avant, is having some phone issues on her side. We were in contact right before the show, and all of a sudden, her phone weirded out, and she couldn't hear me. We could hear her. She could not hear me. So we're trying and efforting to get a hold of her right now to see what is going on. I've talked to her twice tonight. Great lady. Fantastic lady. An incredible story. So that's what we're trying to do right now, is we are trying to get a hold of Patricia Avant and so on and so forth. That's the way it goes. Sometimes these things happen. This is live radio. Baker Mayfield, Cleveland Browns quarterback, getting ripped for talking about UFOs on Twitter because him and his wife saw one. Tom Brady comes to his rescue like the goat that he is, saying to Colin Cowherd, "How do you know I haven't seen aliens, Colin?" It's brilliant. And Ron Popeil is going to create new ghost hunting gear. The Ghost Hunter 9000. Set it and forget it. I love it when people judge a show before they've heard it. Thanks, Prairie Fire. Appreciate it. It's actually the title of Patricia Avant's documentary, Black People See UFOs Too. That's what we're trying to get to. So, you know what else? This is a pet peeve of mine. I'll just throw it out there as we wait for Patricia. Pet peeve? I hate being called a podcast. I do. The word podcast, it's like fingers down a chalkboard for me. It really is. It really is. Can't stand the word. Can't stand the term. Why? Because we're a live radio show. That's why. It's funny because I'll go into like our YouTube archives or whatever because I get all the comments from people. Too many darn commercials on this podcast. We're not a podcast. We're a live radio show that gives you our free archives. And by the way, on YouTube where our archives are stored, you can skip the commercials. Hard to believe, but you can skip the commercials. Cherry Pepsi Mike is saying, I'm such a boomer. I'm not even close to boomer age. You're wearing a clip-on tie in your photo. I can tell. Problem with you youngins is you can't even tie a necktie. You can barely tie your own shoes because you wear them with the laces loose all the time. You didn't have to deal with the days of Velcro runners, my friend, back in about 86, 85 when they came out. The big kangaroos with the zipper on the side that you could throw a couple quarters in to keep them safe in order to go down to the corner store to buy some penny candy and 5-cent candy. Sometimes you splurged on the 10-cent candy. Ah, the good old days. The good old days. That's what it's all about. You didn't have the Velcro kangaroos back then, did you, Cherry Pepsi Mike? John, it doesn't mean that I look down on podcasts. I'm just saying for my show. Don't like being called it. Don't like being called it. We're live radio. Oh, Michael's getting all defensive. It's not a clip-on tie. I 100% tie my ties, Italian imports. And I bet your shelves are made of rich mahogany. Do you have many leather-bound books, too? Let's go to commercial. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. We're going to try and get a hold of our guest tonight, Patricia Avant, so that way we can get into her great documentary and move on from there. Spaced Out Radio continues right after this. The best part I know is Cherry Pepsi Mike right now. He is laughing. He is totally laughing right now. And his beautiful wife, Cosmic, she'll be like, I told you you'd get caught. Told you you'd get caught. You just should have learned how to tie a tie. Hi, Shar. How are you? All right. Let's try and get a hold of her again. Oh, hold on.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
What was going on with your phone?
I don't know. I think it was the computer, so I just shut that one down, got my laptop, and started from there.
Not a problem. You had to reboot. You had to reboot. That's good.
Yeah, everything. It just went completely dead.
That's okay. I had lots to talk about, including one of our listeners wearing a clip-on tie in his photograph.
Okay.
I don't know anyone who owns one.
Right. Well, maybe he just loved them.
No kidding.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that.
If that's
it just went berserk.
If that's the worst thing that happens tonight, we're doing just perfect.
We're doing great, all right.
We are doing just perfect.
Okay. I had to go and let my laptop charge up a little bit, but everything's fine now. I think we're good to go.
Not a problem. Thank you for that. I'm just gonna let's see. Patricia does not know that your ties are Italian imports. He's such a character. He's embarrassed right now. He's probably spilt cherry Pepsi on his T-shirt right now. And his wife is bugging him that I caught him. Mm-hmm. I totally know. This is the kind of fun we have around here. This is the kind of fun. All right, we are going to come back from break here in about just over 2.5 minutes. Oh, there's Patricia in the chat room there. I like clip-on ties. Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Oh, now you're really putting some egg on my face there. Cherry Pepsi Mike is going to be all, told you, Dave, she loves clip-ons. You are amazing. Thank you. Thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
All right.
Are you comfy? You got your slippers on?
I'm all set here. I've got more computer screens going than I ever had. I'm looking at you on YouTube on the old computer.
I'll wave to you.
I'm talking to you on the laptop.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. We're going to have fun.
This is a new thing for me. So
is it?
Yeah, I've got all these things people have told me to get, ring lights and microphones, and they're all just laying on my desk. I had to figure out how to use them. Oh, no. You're gone again?
No, I'm here. I'm listening.
Oh.
I'm listening. We're going to be playing this hello game the entire show. Hello? Hello? Patricia, it's time we do a sound check. Hello, 1, 2. Hello, 1, 2.
That's right. Or have to do a backup beep so I know that you're still there. Beep, beep, beep.
Oh, man. Are you saying I have a big butt and I cannot lie?
No, I'm saying I have one and I cannot lie. It has to be good for something, right?
Today.
Oh, my goodness. We're off the rails already.
Right.
We're off the rails already. Oh, thank you, Cherry Pepsi, Mike, and Cat Chaser for the awesome super chats. And thank you for everyone tuning on in. As you know, give us a thumbs up if you're new, and hit that subscribe button. Here we go. Second half hour of Spaced Out Radio is underway right now. I am your host, Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. We want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We're proud to have our guest tonight, Patricia Avant, and this is going to be a good one because Patricia is someone who is getting serious about ufology. The late blooming writer, artist, newly dubbed filmmaker has taken on a massive task, asking abrupt questions as to why there's not a lot of African American people coming forward with their UFO and ET experiences in North America. She has a beautiful new documentary on this very topic. It's called Black People See UFOs Too. Her website is blackpeoplesee-ufos.com, which I highly suggest you check out. And we continue on. Patricia, welcome to Spaced Out Radio. We're glad the phone lines have kind of started working for us. Let's not jinx them here, and let's get you on in.
Okay. I'm glad to be here. Thank you for having me, Dave.
We're glad you're here, too. And I got to turn up your level just a little bit on my end here. Patricia, you know, when we come to UFOs and sightings, this is always a very personal topic for a lot of us. What is your experience that kind of led you into this phenomena?
I really didn't have one. I stepped out on the patio in 2016 and saw the 4 orange orbs hanging there, very low. And following that year, I got a camera to video the moon, and I started videoing everything but the moon. But I didn't have one. I didn't actually believe in UFOs until I saw the orbs that day, that night. I didn't really believe in them.
So tell us what you saw. What were these orbs all about?
Well, I was watching television. It was really, really hot June, July night. Had the windows, curtains open, and I looked to my left, and I kind of see this orange thing hanging between two flat buildings across the street from me in a kind of a vacant lot there. And I just kind of looked away and didn't think anything of it. It wasn't glowing really loudly or anything, just kind of hanging. So around the third time I look, and of course I'm thinking it's the same thing, one thing, but I get up, go on the balcony, and the one that was hanging there is gone. I look to my left, and there's 4 of them hanging. And they were just in perfect formation, just waiting. They were just hanging there. So I called my son. He's, well, maybe it's a drone, maybe it's this, maybe it's that. And finally we just say, well, he says, it's got to be a drone. I sit down, he goes back to his room, and then he calls me, I guess about 15 minutes after that, and they're way up in the sky at this time, and 3 in a row, one on the left, a bigger one on the left, but now there's like 5 of them, a bigger one, the 3 in the middle, and another one on the right, and they just start moving up and disappearing. They all move up one at a time, move up, disappear. And I was telling someone the other day, we didn't talk about that until sometime this year was the first time my son and I actually talked about that. You know, we actually saw that. Those were really there, and we don't know what they were. And that was not even something that still didn't pique my interest the way it is now. He got me a camera that following year, the end of the year, And I really just wanted to film the moon and started filming the stars really out of boredom. And then the next thing I know, they're just doing all these crazy things. And that went on for a year with me.
No.
So I believe now.
These same orbs were pretty much visiting you for a year?
No. The orbs I haven't seen in that way again. I've seen them all throughout the sky since then. But I started getting the visits from the things that are in the documentary. That went on for a year.
Oh, well.
And really, it's still going on. It's not as much as it was, but I'm beginning to kind of, I don't know, what do you call this? They're showing up again, I guess.
You got aliens. So. That's the way we say it around here. You got aliens.
Okay. It's kind of like mites.
Well, hey, we all have to have something, and around here we seem to have aliens. So these orbs that you saw, these orange orbs that floated off into the sky, you know, at the time that you saw them, did you go around talking to other people saying, "Hey, have you ever seen anything like this?"
I only mentioned that to my sister, and and I could hear the "yeah, sure" in her voice. And then that following, that was June, I think maybe that in March of the next year, she saw it. Her and her friend were driving down the street in Michigan, and they saw him. And so she still, I don't know, there's still this, you see things with your own eyes sometimes that you still can't believe. That's a weird thing, and you don't know what to make of them. So I don't know, they just kind of disappeared into the background of my life until I started filming these other things.
So when you say other things, Patricia, what do you mean for other things for the people who haven't seen your documentary yet?
I don't know what to call them, Dave. I know some of them look like ships to me. Other people have described them as translucent ships. There was another word this gentleman used. Some people just feel like they're entities that are visiting me. I've had several different ideas or attempts to help me determine what they actually are. I could say there's only maybe one or two that actually frightened me. The rest of them, some of them seem like ships. I have a couple of them that when I look at them closely, I can see something moving in them, but I don't know what they are for sure. I couldn't say to you, yes, these are absolutely aliens. Do I believe that there's some type of entities or beings in these structures that I'm seeing? Yeah, I do. I don't know what to call them.
And that's probably the most accurate answer of all. I don't know what to call them. Because everybody always tries to put a name. Oh, that was an Arcturian spacecraft T-1000A62. You know what I'm saying? They do. They do. I've interviewed enough people who are doing that. And here, Patricia comes in and decides to give an honest answer. I don't know what the heck these things are, but they are there.
Yeah, I don't know.
What year was this when this started?
This started in 2017 with the light structures. I saw the orbs in 2016. I got the camera in 2017. And I'd say early 2018 is when I was, I guess I could say, either devoted or possessed with it, because they were just everywhere. And things that I would film something, one thing, and maybe put it in the editor to look at it closely, slow it down, and there would be other things there that I absolutely did not even see with my naked eye. Things Have you watched the documentary?
I haven't had an opportunity to yet. I'm hoping to get to it this weekend.
Okay. Well, there's one. There's a couple of them. The one in particular where I was, because as it turns out, the red orbs are everywhere.
Really?
You can't always see them. Some of them are hidden in the smoky clouds, but they're everywhere. And I think because there are these other objects that I happen to capture that seem to be shooting. I don't know if they're shooting out of the ground or if they're shooting from an angle, but they go really, really fast. And the orbs show up just prior to that. And they kind of do a blinking pattern, and the next thing I know, this thing, it's kind of a green and gold thing, very long, that will shoot by. I've only seen that twice, but I did notice that the orbs were there each time prior to them showing up.
Now, do you live in the country or in a city where there's a lot of light pollution?
No, there's no pollution, nothing, no problem like that here.
Oh, so you're out in the countryside kind of area, or more in a darker area?
It's not so much that it's country, or it's just
rural?
Clear.
Oh, beautiful. Beautiful.
Yeah, it's just because I had, at the time where I was living, and it was a 2-family flat and on the second floor, at times the moon just like it was coming into my house to say hello. It was always very, very close. And so that's why I actually wanted the camera, was to do that. And all these other things started showing up because I think I mentioned to somebody else, the moon just doesn't change a lot. It got kind of boring the closer I could get, and I didn't see anything. Nothing was coming my way, so I got a little bored with that and started trying to see if I could film a star, and lo and behold.
You got aliens.
Got aliens.
You got some aliens there. Patricia, previous to 2017,
mm-hmm.
Who were you? What were you all about? Like, had you ever had any type of weird, strange phenomena happening? Maybe not UFOs, but maybe any paranormal activity, or anything along those lines? Or did you, like the majority of us, have a pretty normal life up until this happened?
I had a out-of-body experience, and I've had this kind of thing that's been going on with some type of light in my eyes. But I knew they were out of the ordinary type of things, but I think I have been on a spiritual journey so long that I think these things are just pieces of the puzzle leading up to something else. So I never questioned them in a way that would be, like, oh, something spooky is happening to me, something this is happening to me. I feel so spiritually connected that they didn't bother me in any way. They seemed normal to me. I guess I shouldn't say normal, because if I thought they were normal, I would tell people about them, right? But I didn't. So, but yeah, I've had experiences that were out of the ordinary, but I still did not believe in aliens. I don't even like the word alien. I like spiritual being or entities. But I just think aliens just has too much Hollywood connected to it. But yeah, I guess I had I read recently that people that have a lot of trauma in their lives tend to have these kind of experiences more. And if the trauma started early enough in your life, the experiences don't seem that far-fetched or that out of the ordinary to you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Did you grow up in a real religious family, or were you just someone who had an everyday life, maybe playing sports or gardening on the weekends or doing whatever you were doing for fun?
No, my grandmother was very religious, and my mother too, in a way. She quoted the Bible all the time, and you got in a lot of trouble if you didn't. My grandmother was a Jehovah's Witness. If I didn't go to the meetings, but I was always trying to read the Bible. I thought about that the other day. I think I was always trying to read the Bible to find a way out of my traumatic experience, wanting to be somewhere else, anywhere else. And because I believed what they told me, I thought I could find that in the Bible. So I have always tried to understand it, even though, of course, as a child I didn't. But excuse me. But so I guess in a way, without actually knowing that that's what was going on with me, that I actually was very outside of my own body experience myself at a very young age. I have early childhood memories that don't seem like, a lot of people would think that's not possible for you to remember something at 9 months old, excuse me. But again, I've lately learned that things that are connected to traumas, regardless of the age, can stir or hold on to those memories longer, or have more vivid memories than somebody that's not experiencing trauma from an early age.
For people who have never had an out-of-body experience, such as myself, and the idea of it just absolutely freaks me out, Patricia, to be blunt. What does it feel like to travel outside your body?
Well, I have to explain that it was not something that I sat down and decided, I want to do this. In fact, I didn't believe in that until it happened. That happened as a kind of a result of something negative, but it didn't scare me. And what I found myself in a kind of an argument where the next thing I know, I'm watching myself from a corner, from the side. I couldn't see the front of my face, but I could see myself from the side, and I could not hear. It was so I have in my own personal experience, I understand that as out of the body, out of the flesh, we can still see. But I think probably everything we do is probably mental, as far as communicating. But it did not feel anything. I didn't feel any specific way. And I was only frightened once I kind of returned to my body, because I didn't feel like that wasn't an angelic experience. I felt like something kind of pushed me out for whatever reason. And when it was gone, and I don't think it was a good thing that had pushed me out, but apparently it did not want to stay. But I had gotten so angry, and I made space for it in that anger. And when it pushed me out, I was up in the corner. When it left, the person that I was angry with obviously felt enough relief that I had returned to me, that they got up and scooted around me, and I just walked home. I never told anybody about it at that point. I didn't talk about it till some years later,
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Yeah.
So then all of a sudden you start seeing these weird orbs in the sky, and then weird craft that you can't explain because you're actually being honest, and it's not the Arcturian T-1004-QPX. And
well, one of them might be, actually. I'm disappointed that you haven't seen it. Because I think if you see it, then you would understand more where I'm coming from, because if you haven't seen the things that are in this video, then I don't think you can really understand the depth of what's going on with me in trying to understand them.
Well,
Because I filmed every one of them, and it's probably over 200. I just haven't, there's so many of them that I just haven't, I'm overwhelmed with trying to get them up. And I think I probably should actually do a second documentary as opposed. I was trying to put them up one by one, but that's a little time consuming, and plus revisiting them. Some of them I hadn't looked at for over 2 years. It's it's awakening something else. And yeah, I'm disappointed that you haven't seen it.
well, you know what? As a major experiencer myself, I'm not trying to make excuses, but there are very few things that I haven't experienced. So that's why I can connect with the energy and understand fully with what you are going through and what you have seen. Like, for instance, I try not to make the show about me, but those orange orbs, I've seen what you're talking about. The first UFO I ever saw back in 1994 was an orange orb, almost like a Tic Tac shape.
Okay.
And I watched it fly for a few minutes right over from my house, right over to the airport that was nearby that shut down at midnight. And there it was. So a little bit about me, I've been face to face with extraterrestrials. And I'm not talking in the dream state. I'm talking in the wake state. I've had aliens show up at my window during this radio show. I've seen black triangles and orbs and all sorts of weird things and beings that kind of go along with that. So you and I will get along just fine. I promise you that.
Oh, I'm sure of that as well.
So learning about you, as we have about 90 seconds here to go before we have to go to break at the top of the hour, Patricia. For you, what did you believe in regarding UFOs? Did you believe in them before these incidents occurred, or did you just never pay attention to them and don't even care about the subject?
I didn't believe in them. I didn't. I still have some problem with the abduction part of it. Because I didn't think, what would be the purpose? Why would anything super intelligent need anything from us? That's what I couldn't wrap my head around. I don't know what the purpose of these visits would be. Like even now, I think because of the sheer volume of the things that I saw, and trying to understand why I'm seeing them and nobody else seems to have seen any of these things. If these things are not rerouting because we're sending so much stuff up in the air, because they were just too highly visible. And even the orbs, they hung there like nothing. And they were only a few, I don't know, feet or how many feet above, but they weren't much higher than the tallest street light. And when I saw them, the first one, they were in between two family flat buildings in an open space there. And if the person had, and John brought this to my attention, if they had looked out of their window, if there had been anybody living there, they would have looked right at that thing.
Well, I am just blown away. I can't wait to learn more from you coming up here at the next hour of Spaced Out Radio, because we're going to have a lot of fun discussing your UFO experiences, the documentary that you've made. Patricia Avant is our guest tonight on Spaced Out Radio. When we come back, we're going to look into the UFO phenomena and her documentary, Black People See UFOs Too. We'll give you the website when we come back from the break here on Spaced Out Radio. There we go. Hold on one second. All right, I am going to quickly run my dogs out. I'm going to turn your microphone down, and you'll hear some commercials on this end, but we got about 5.5 minutes, okay?
All righty.
I'll be right back.
We are independent, and there's no cost to what we do. All we need is your experience. Let's find out what's happening together on the SOR Sightlines Report.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
Get your horns up with me on Spaced Out Radio. This is Ron Bumblefoot Thal. Come tune in to SOR where you can hear me rock out with Little Brother Is Watching, the official theme song of Spaced Out Radio. And then come on over to bumblefoot.com where you can find out about my tour schedule, my music, and everything else. Bumblefoot.com keeps you up to date on what I'm doing and the best way to stay in touch with my music and music camps. Sign up for my newsletter at bumblefoot.com and remember, Little Brother Is Watching.
I'm feeling a little spicy tonight. What to do? What to do?
Why not get Bumblefuck?
4 million Scoville units of pure hard rock. Bumblefoot hot sauces come in 3 flavors. The burning Bumble. Tone it down a bit with Bumblicious and throw the sauce on everything.
Spice it up. Bumble me, baby. Bumblefoot hot sauce. Get it today at kajans.com.
The SOR Vault is open for business, and do we have some cool swag for you to pick up? All you have to do is head over to our website and click on the SOR Vault. You have a variety of cool logos to choose from, and put them on anything you want. T-shirts, hoodies, hats, coffee mugs, you name it, we can get it to you. So do your shopping by supporting the store you love. Get your Spaced Out Radio swag at the SOR Vault today.
We all know on Spaced Out Radio we love a good beard and mustache, so why not take care of your facial hair with Mighty Moose Beard Oil? Made in Canada, we're taking care of beards and stashes around the world. We use 100% natural ingredients with our oils and balms to make your whiskers feel silky smooth. Use promo code SOR2019 at MightyMooseBeard.com today.
We are scouring the world for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chive and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a...
All right, Patricia, I'm back.
Okay.
My dog Doug decided to join us in the studio.
Okay.
He's going to lay down now. He likes to come to work every now and again. All right. Let's see. Hey, Sovereign, how are you? Padura Abo, welcome to Spaced Out Radio's chat room for the first time. Thank you for joining us. Hey, Chris Mo, thank you for taking on in the show. Eric, how you doing? Nice to have you here. Jacques, how are you? Nice to have you here. Who am I missing here in the chat room? Scrolling on up here. Jeremy Jones, welcome. And I think I'm caught up there. I think I am caught up. Very cool. Very cool. This is so exciting. Your images that you've captured are actually quite incredible.
You disappeared there.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
No, I can hear you. I just don't see you.
No, you're not going to see me.
Okay.
Yeah. But your images, some of these images that you have captured are absolutely weird and incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm looking at some of them right now. It's like, what the heck is that? It almost looks like a skull. Orion Grays, welcome to our chat room for the first time. If you're new, we are a live radio show, so that's the reason why we are in a commercial break right now. I will post the link here in the chat room for all of you guys to hang out and check it on out here. So there you go. I'll post this in our other chat room as well. Thank you to Overprotected, Mandingo, Cherry Pepsi, Mike, and Cat Chaser for the Super Chats. Hour 2 is going to start right now.
You're listening to Spaced Out Radio with Dave Scott. Follow Dave on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Facebook, Spaced Out Radio Show.
Hour number 2 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears, especially those listening in around North America on our terrestrial radio stations and on our digital stations. Revolution Radio, TalkStream Live, KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. Debarras. Debarras is your password. Use it wisely, Space Travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on talking with documentary director, producer, Patricia Avant. She has a brand new documentary out called Black People See UFOs Too. You can find this at blackpeopledoSee/UFOs.com. I highly suggest you do, because the footage that she has captured with her own camera is nothing short of amazing. It's absolutely incredible, some of these captures that she is getting in the sky. And I'm curious what you guys think. But first, Patricia, welcome back.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
We're glad to have you here as well. Now, Patricia, before the break, we were talking about, how much UFO interest you had before you started seeing these anomalies in the sky that were floating around, starting with some orbs that you had seen. At what point did you decide that you were going to take all of this footage that you have created and make a documentary out of it?
December last year. I just decided to do it, and everything that I needed kind of fell in place. And so I put them together and just put it up there. And they had been up for about a month, and I was having a conversation with a gentleman about love, and the next thing I know, he retweeted my pinned trailer, and this happened.
Now, you have a little bit of what some people may say, a little bit of a controversial title. Black People Do See UFOs Too. Why did you decide to go with that title?
Well, it's had been kind of an inside hood joke that we weren't seeing them. And so that's kind of a play on that idea, because I saw so many that, maybe that's not true. Black people do see UFOs. And as it turns out, I actually stumbled across or found a group on Facebook. It's about 200 African Americans. A lot of them are from Africa, Nigeria, the likes. Can you hear me still?
Yes, I'm listening perfectly
Okay.
to you.
Yeah, and so it's not that we don't. I believe it. I think we just have a different value system regarding them, and it's not necessarily a great big part of our lives because we experience so many other things down here on the planet. Maybe we just don't see the big deal about UFOs. But I think that it's something we should pay attention to.
Do you think that the world of the ufology, when you looked into it, it's primarily always been a Caucasian type atmosphere, and we haven't seen a lot of black people come out with their experiences, so much so that that they've made a big contribution to this community, which I think is sorely missed when anybody doesn't show any interest in this or coming out forward. Why do you think that you are almost like a pioneer in this?
Well, like I said, if you're concerned about your kids getting shot 17 times in the back, you're not going to be really concerned about a UFO. So even if you do see one, it's not going to take precedent over some of the bigger issues that we deal with down on this planet. But I happen to think that in and of itself, the magic or the miracle or the spiritual aspect of that is a big part of what's missing from our day-to-day lives. And we do need to pay more attention to that. I'm beginning to think that it's not that we don't see them. It's just that we have not understood or have misunderstood what part it could actually play in our own lives. And yeah, I was surprised actually in the Twitter UFO community that so many white women feel excluded from this. And then I was also surprised and shocked when I found out that MUFRON had a racial incident, and then that they also had a problem with child pornography and so many things, like you can be naive about. You think people that are into UFOs are all on a kind of a spiritual drive or a spiritual cleansing or learning process, and that's maybe just not the truth. It's I think we stepped outside of it because we don't understand the magic of it, the miracle of it, the spiritual side of it is all connected. And so the religious part of our day-to-day lives is so stoic, or it was, that would keep us from necessarily dealing with that to the degree that, say, white men are.
I remember interviewing a gentleman named Craig Jaycox a couple of times about his experiences. And the first time that I interviewed him, I remember him kind of reaching out to me. He's like, Dave, I wrote that book 10 years ago. Why are you wanting to talk to me about it now? And I was just like, because I'm into personal experiences when it comes to this phenomena, being an experiencer myself. And the next time I had him on, I actually asked him this exact same question, which is, why do you feel that many black people out there do not come forward with their UFO experiences? Because the way I look at this topic is not political. It doesn't choose a political party. It doesn't choose a sexuality. It doesn't choose a religion. It doesn't choose a color. It affects everybody on this planet equally. And
yeah, but the difference is, I put up a video of this kind of a beige square thing that kind of shot across the sky. And I don't know who this Twitter follower, you know, he immediately goes, "Oh, that's a flying seat cushion." And then someone says, "Oh, that's a Mylar balloon." You know, so there's a kind of I don't know, for lack of a better word, and I hate to use this term, but maybe a good old boy status in the UFO community that is not yielding, not even to white women who have the experiences. There was one guy that said that the reason women are not in the UFO community because they're not good researchers, and that kind of an attitude. So as a rule, when you exclude white women, you exclude everybody else, black men, you know what I mean? That's generally how that goes. So in other words, even if some of us had these experiences, maybe didn't feel comfortable with trying to fit in with the way, you know, how it's situated so deeply around white men, and they make the rules about it. They make the guidelines. They decide what's false, what is not false, and so that's a hard shell to crack.
Right. So, do you think it's...
And it is political. I don't know how you could say it's not political.
No, when I said political, I meant party-wise. It doesn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't matter whether you're a Republican, Democrat, Libertarian, or up here in Canada, conservative, a Democrat, a liberal, or a Parti Québécois. You know what I'm saying?
Well, you know, I think probably you may feel that way, but I think on a deeper level, maybe people may not necessarily express that.
Right.
But you know what I mean? You can that can show up in so many different ways, even if it doesn't necessarily have the label of exclusion. There's so many ways to exclude people. I mean, you could just there's unimaginable ways you can exclude people intentionally or not intentionally, you know. So I think that some people have political understanding, background, maybe Democrat or whatever, Republican or whatever, that would not necessarily agree with another person's idea without saying, well, I don't believe that because I'm a Republican. But those kinds of things are so deeply embedded, as we've learned over 2020. You know, Democrat, Republican, and what people, how that affects people's lives and their decisions and who they deal with and who they don't deal with. That it is political in a way that is maybe just not expressed with a flag or the elephant. You know what I mean?
Very true. Very true. I think that's a brilliant comment. I really do. And when you look at this, being a black woman who is now going to all of a sudden turn into a leader in this field, hopefully encouraging not only black women, but Hispanics, Caucasian, Oriental, it really doesn't matter. You know, do you look at it and say, look, we can have a voice, we can have a say here, we deserve a say because we're all equal in this game because the ETs really don't care. They're taking us all.
Well, I tell you, it's so, I put the video out because I wanted to get to opinion. I really wanted to see what other people thought about them. But it's such a spiritual part, it's a big part of my spiritual journey. I'm like 68. So, you know, 70, 73, maybe 80, who knows, you know. My biggest, I guess if you want to use the word concern at this point, is what happens next. You know, so I think it's a spiritual thing for me, and I don't see how it could move forward any other way. because I know a lot of people like to separate the religion or the spiritual aspect from this, and that the aliens are coming to do great harm, and I just, the term, of course, I don't like the term aliens. I think there are demonic spirits and there are angelic spirits, and the two just are able to do the types of things that they can do that are outside our realm of understanding. But I think that we have to really separate this whole idea of the men are better at it, the women can't do it. All of that's got to fall aside. I mean, I don't know if I'm any kind of leader in that aspect. I don't really have a UFO background. I've not done any research, so to speak. I feel like everything I've found out about it has been spiritually put in my path for me to see.
That brings up a really good question, though, and that is, I'm going to assume that you are, when you talk about your spirituality, that you have your personal relationship with God or whatever religious deity that you pray to, and everything. And please correct me if I'm wrong in regards to that. But okay, so have these experiences brought you closer to your own spirituality and what you think it's all about, comparatively to when it was before you had these experiences?
Well, definitely. And every day I have a different understanding, I think. My understanding of why I'm seeing these things and what's going on with me personally. Every day I have a different and a deeper understanding of that. And I'm not a person that, I don't believe that there's just one God. And I think that what we think of as God is just totally different than my mindset. I don't think that there's one God. I think there are some lesser gods, and I think there's one source, one creator of all things, from which all of these things emanate. So I don't pray to any particular God in that way.
But spiritually speaking, how have these experiences in filming these incredible sightings changed you?
Well, I can't say that they're changing me so much. They're additions to, they're growing me. But change, I was already changed. I was already seeking a deeper spiritual understanding about the next step. What's going to happen when I die. That's been my focus. So I think all in all, now when I go back and starting to really look at these entities or these and the orbs and all the stuff that I'm seeing, and I was told, and I agree, I've gotten on that frequency. And I'm on that frequency, I think, because of the persistence with which I have been pursuing this since I started seeing them. So in other words, I didn't see something, the orbs I did, I saw them and I just didn't give them any more attention because I really couldn't wrap my head around it. These things started showing up in such numbers and that there was no way that I could ignore them.
Do you think you were summoning them in?
Well, I guess if you get on their frequency, that is not a summoning where I'm doing any kind of ritual, but like attracts like, right? And you bring into your life what you focus on. And I think that, like I said, people see something, and I forget who said this to me, but that you see one of these things or something out of the normal. And, actually, I saw this on Capturing the Light, where the lady's son they were sitting there videoing, interviewing her daughter-in-law, I think. And in the window behind her, suddenly these things start showing up as they're talking to her. And the son made a point that he saw it with his own eyes, but that he knew for a fact when he got through talking about it, probably within 2 days, he would forget about it.
Interesting.
You know, yeah. So I think, but for me, that wasn't the case. You know, I eventually I saw, and they started showing up so much that I couldn't ignore them. And for 2 years, I just would look at them and cry over them and just be deeply moved by them and didn't know what to do with them. And then I decided I needed to share them, and I showed a few up on Twitter, and people would look, but they, you know, I'm sure they don't know what to make of them at all. There's a still shot at the end of the video. I put up like 10 still shots, and I'm amazed that nobody has mentioned them, you know, because one of them, 2 of them, I mean, if these aren't actual beings, I don't know what they are. And they are so clear that I have to rethink that if anybody has saw them, maybe they've scared them or something. I don't know, but
many of them look very angelic.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are you looking at? Some stills?
Yeah, I'm looking at the stills.
Mm-hmm. Well, I have a different view on angels as well. I don't really know what they are. I just know that they showed up and I got them on film. You know, but I know that they are, I don't think they were trying to harm me. Like I said, I only had, I think that one that you were looking at, the ship that looked like, I don't know what it looks like. That was only the one that scared me because I was filming and then it disappeared and I thought it was gone. And so I have this thing where I keep on filming, and then when I put it in the editor, lighten it up a little bit to see if there's anything else. And I was really shocked to see that at least 3 minutes after I thought it had disappeared, it was not only still there, but it had, I guess, moved itself in closer because I had zoomed out as far as I could zoom. And it was so close that it was like somebody was in your face. And that was the only one that scared me.
A lot of them that you captured seem to have faces. Mm-hmm. Like they just seem to move on the video, where all of a sudden they'll look like a face with like blank eye sockets or a long slit for a mouth. Did you notice that too?
That's only one. It's only one, and that's the one that I'm speaking about. That's the only one that does that. And if you get a chance to watch the documentary, you'll see that thing starts out in a totally different shape.
Yes, I'm watching that right now. I'm watching that right now, and it totally does. And and all of them did that. They start to morph into something else. And so what I started to do after that, of course, is something led me to start dropping them in a media encoder is what it's called, so I could see them frame by frame. And what I found that eventually, when you got to like the middle of the frames, it might be 10,000 frames, it might be 20, just depending on how long the video is. There was something very definable in the center of those things. But that thing changed, probably 4 times? Mm-hmm. And ultimately, it ended up looking like a rock. These are just absolutely incredible. And as we go to break here at the bottom of the hour, I want to encourage all of our listeners to head over to Patricia's website, blackpeopledoc-ufos.com, where you can watch the documentary and all of these great things, I guess that's the way to call it, that she has filmed from her sky. We're going to learn more about this documentary. Once again, blackpeopledoc-ufos.com. Patricia Avant is our guest tonight. We're having a wonderful time with her. Stay tuned. More Spaced Out Radio continues after this. There we go. This is flying on by.
It is really. I thought I was gonna need more coffee.
Oh no, we'll keep you amped up. We'll keep you amped up.
I'm usually up anyway. I've just been having trouble sleeping these last week or so, and so my sleep cycle is really off.
Right.
Because I'm normally up anyway. But I was sleepy this afternoon, and I took a nap, and I'm so sorry I missed you. We probably kind of got all of this phone stuff straightened earlier, but
Oh, that's okay. That's okay.
I had to take a nap.
That's okay. I you know what? I'm having an absolute blast with you here, and I hope this is the first time, but I sure as heck hope it isn't the last. That's for sure.
Oh, I hope so too. I hope I'm not too blunt. I like to tell people that if you don't really want to know what I'm thinking, don't ask me.
I get that. I have a feeling that you could kick my ass pretty quickly, just to be honest.
Oh, I couldn't.
Oh, you know what? Here's true story. My grandmother, God bless her. I'm 47 years old, and I still have one of my grandparents left on this beautiful earth. And my grandmother is an old Alberta farm girl. And to this day, at 90, how old is she? She was born in 1928, so she's 93 years old. When I'm with her, and if she punches me in the arm, I still get hurt because she's got like boxer fists,
Okay.
From working hard in the farm as a kid, and when she hits me, man, does it hurt. I'm like, Grandma, go away. Go away, don't hit me. She goes, what, you want some? You want some? I'm like, thanks, Grandma. I'm going to leave here black and blue. I'm going to report you to the police for abuse. I got beat up by a 93-year-old woman.
But you don't mess around with her, huh?
Oh, no. No. We have just under 3 minutes here. I have a couple of questions from our audience for you, if you don't mind, when we come back.
Okay, no problem.
That'll be great. I love to get the audience questions in here, so that'll be fun.
The thing moves so fast, I don't know how you can keep up with this. The scrolling, But what are they doing? They're just putting their names there, or they are?
Well, their names automatically populate because they're logged in. And so, like right at the bottom there where you see Denali Princess, she put in at AA Ron Heisner. I see an off-center yellow chakra and a Shocky blue chakra.
Okay.
Yeah.
So type it in.
Yeah.
Not necessarily. Okay.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing this, Dave? You said, I know you said at the top there, and
well, I have a radio background. So I started in radio in 1998. I left in 2007, but I started this show in 2014. So November 30th, 2014 is when I started. So we're about 6.25 years old doing this show. And we have a blast. I have a blast doing it. Sometimes it's stressful, but...
I'm sorry. You had entities show up at your door?
At my window. We nicknamed him Carl.
Is he on a regular basis?
No, he's only showed up twice. Once was at my window on April 20th, 2015. And then in 2018, him and his buddies... Two of his buddies came, and I was literally, after the show, how you were talking about the energy? You just kind of know. With Carl, I had one day in 2018, I just had a feeling he was around, like the energy I just picked up on. And after the show, I went up on my patio, and I could hear the talking all around.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm standing outside at like 1 o'clock in the morning on my patio and listening to these aliens have a conversation. It was kind of cool.
So they've never approached you?
Not that way. I have been
okay.
taken. I have been taken about 7-8 times that I know of. But hold on, my friend. We're just coming back from break, okay?
Okay.
We passed the halfway point of Spaced Out Radio tonight. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. I really do appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that if you've missed portions of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. We continue on tonight with director Patricia Avant. She has a great documentary called Black People Do See UFOs Too. You can find it at blackpeopledoSee-UFOs.com, where, you know, this isn't about interviewing a bunch of people. This isn't about interviewing a bunch of longtime researchers. No, this is Patricia, what she has caught on her own camera over the last few years, and it is incredible. It is natural. I highly recommend anybody in our audience to check it on out. Patricia, welcome back.
Thank you.
I'm still blown away by a lot of these images. Before we get to a couple of audience questions from our chat rooms here, Patricia, I want to ask you, just in regards to the filming, because a lot of people will say, what kind of camera do you use, and how far away were these objects, if you don't mind answering?
God, I couldn't begin to tell you how far away they were. Some were very, very, very far, and some were closer. I mean, none of them were as close as the orbs, of course. The lights or the stars, and they look like stars. When you start, or when I started to film them, they all looked like just a star. And eventually they started doing the other thing. And I just have a Canon. It's a Canon Power Shot.
It's almost like they're wanting you to film them.
Yeah. That's what I'm being told.
Yeah, no kidding.
And there was a point, at one point, you know, I would see one or two here, one or two there. And at one point, one night, I look out my window and there's like maybe 12. And they all, again, just look like stars hanging there. And that was an unusual sight. You know, it did seem like that particular night that they did come to see me or to be with me. And it was a pleasant night, except that was also the first and only night that I actually at some point felt like I was being watched. Up until then, I was the watcher.
Yes.
And then I had that one experience, and I think I probably said this a million times. It did kind of scare me, you know, to think, and I don't know why I wouldn't have thought it before, but I didn't. And this time it felt like they made it known that we see you, you know. So it's been a very interesting process, this whole thing. Where it's leading me to, I don't know. But the support has grown, and I really do appreciate it. Because even though I say, I feel this way or that way, tomorrow I pull up another one, and it just kind of brings more questions. If I'm able to see these, and some of them are so beautiful, I just can't imagine how life does not reflect this beauty all the time, Russ. Sometimes I don't understand the really ugly side of life when you can have something this glorious and this beautiful and this mesmerizing and this moving. And so it just, it can bring more questions. But then sometimes, again, I'll go back and look at something and it will calm me down or give me a kind of a peace that I don't understand either. It's a weird thing that's going on, but that's why I'm sure it's all connected to the spiritual journey that I have set up for myself,
Okay, I got to go to a couple questions from our audience here.
Okay.
From our YouTube chat, a girl who has no name is asking, Patricia, what do you believe are our human beginnings? How did we get here? Why are we here?
Oh, my God.
It's deep.
Well, I don't know, man. My level of understanding about that is so outside the norm that some people might be offended. So I don't know if you, and I know that you have some guidelines. So are you sure?
No, go for it.
All right. Well, I've come to believe that the creator of all things, that is what I like to call him, also known as God, is not a God at all, and that there are lesser entities that also have the ability to create, of which the one that we typically call Satan is most likely the one that created us. And if you delve into that and who he was and what was going on with him, then to me, it explains all of the physical, mental, emotional issues and flaws that we have. And that is because it was flawed. You always talk about this God creating these perfect things in there. We're perfect, but we're not. We're terribly, terribly flawed, full of disease, full of emotional and mental issues. Don't even get started on the racial crap. You know what I mean? When we're abusing children, we're abusing dogs. We're doing everything crazy. Sex seems to be the real religion, and stuff is coming out of the woodwork. Like I was shocked to see that somebody in Mufron had been accused of some kind of a child pornography thing. But it's par for the course, because this particular entity that we call Satan, may possibly be our actual father. And if you go through the Bible, Jesus was always telling us that Satan is your father. And I don't think most of us thought he meant that literally. But I have come to a place where I think that is possibly the truth. And I don't know where we all came from. I don't know what it's all about. I don't know why they can't just say, okay, this is too screwed up. Let's blow them all out of here and start all over again. Supposedly he did that once. But if he is not, of course, the creator of all things, he does not have the ability to do, all certain things. Why it's going on and on like this, and with all this trouble, I don't know. There has to be a reason. And right now, the book that I kind of pull all of my information out of is the Pistis Sophia. In my personal opinion, it's probably the most important text on the planet. But it's not for the faint-hearted, because when you get to the end of it, it's throwing out some dire consequences for choices. And so why we're here, I think we're just a creation of a lesser God creator, and some other entity or the major or source has had some, what's the word I want to use? He's there. We didn't choose to be here ourselves. So we're given an opportunity to kind of get things right before we die. I could go on and on with that, but that's the gist of where I am with that.
All right, let's get over to George's question. He is asking, when you were filming, did the sightings look different in person from what the camera captured?
Yes. I could be looking at the camera and watching this thing move. And if I let my eyes drift up just a little bit and look up at them, it would look like they were just sitting there. And the only way I would know that they were actually moving is they would go out of the screen, And so I started to take my screen and kind of move it as close up to the back of it so it would have space to move. Because I have the screen on my camera is really small, and I had absolutely zero skill or understanding of how to set it up and get it right. So I ended up just putting it on auto. And the other thing I'd like people to understand is I had absolutely no intention of sharing this stuff. That, I only started thinking about that much later, but I had no intention. So if they don't look professional, that's because they aren't.
All right, let's move on to another question here. And this one comes from Cedric, who is asking, Patricia, what are your thoughts about Betty and Barney Hill in their case? Have you looked into it?
Yeah, I know about Betty and Barney Hill, and certainly everything that they said. And I think she actually got some information from one of them, right, about a structure or something. I believe something happened to them, that they experienced something, without a doubt, just like I believe the lady in Capturing the Light, when somebody suggested that I look at that video and the similarities. Now, nobody's talking to me. I haven't had anybody. She says that the entity started to give her information. That hasn't happened to me, but certainly if there is such a thing as you getting on the frequency of these things and then connecting that way, then I felt like she also had done the same thing. So that was very encouraging for me to see that.
Very cool. Very cool. Princess Denali is asking, she goes, I want to know what your state of mind is and how you feel right before you see them. Princess Denali is a very spiritual, Zen-like being that listens to this show.
Again, because it was not something where I was sitting down meditating on, or even, there was never a night where I said, please let me see these things or anything like that. And again, every time they just looked like a star originally. So there was no state of mind other than eventually I was obsessed with, and so I was up all night and into the daytime filming them. I just could not stop. And I think I had mentioned the only reason I did stop at one time is because we had to move. And where I moved, I was not able to see. I didn't have a clear view of the sky. I have it in the back of the house, but it's not the same. But now, like in 2019, in a kind of a slower approach, I've begun to see them again. And so I don't have a state of mind. I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. There was nothing that happened to me, or no light arrived around me. I didn't feel any way, but I can say that several of them were so bright and so beautiful that I was overwhelmed by them and moved emotionally on more than one occasion to tears about them. But I've never woke up with any kind of aura or any kind of feeling that they were in the house or they're here, nothing like that. I would just get in the window and look, and whenever I saw a light anywhere, I started filming it.
Follow-up question from Princess Denali. Do you feel them, whoever those beings are, in your heart chakra?
No.
Plain and simple. There you go. Good answer. Kira is asking, Patricia, do you ever get telepathic messages from these experiences?
I've always gotten help from outside of so if I am, it doesn't feel like anything new. So I can't say that it's something directly from them or it or whatever. I've always had help. I guess that answers it. No, none of them have, nothing has said to me, yes, this is what I am, this is who we are, and we've come to deal with you. And I can't say that any of the help that I've had has intensified as a result of that. I do think it's all connected. So I guess that answers it, kind of.
Your voice changed there a little bit, almost a little bit of emotion coming in. Is there a reason for that? Or did I misconstrue that?
No, you didn't misconstrue it. I guess in some ways, you know, I have not always understood that was not happening to everybody, if that makes sense. And so that connected with these visual things showing up, and I don't know, apparently nobody else seeing them. I have become more emotional about it because I had all these films, I hadn't really looked at them. I see them, I had so many, I hadn't looked at them. And I guess because of the documentary, and I'm really viewing them every day, and every day I have a different emotion, I think, about whichever one I'm looking at, because even though I have this feeling that they're entities, and I can't say 1,000%, you know, I don't know what they are, but they do make me emotional sometimes, and so yeah, no, you didn't misconstrue that. I'm really surprised that it actually happened, right? Usually more in control of it.
I can understand why. I've been in that same position with my own experiences and just not understanding the concept of why me. Have you ever asked yourself, at this point in your life, why me? Why am I being shown all of this now?
Every day. Every day since I really started, because I some of them, I guess I was filming so much, so often, and I got to the point where I just started pulling them off my SD card and throwing them onto these external drives. And some of them I pull up, like I think it was number 25 on the video, and I absolutely don't have any remembrance of seeing that. It's so huge and it's so big, and the one at the end, I thought, I took a photo of that, but if I had saw that with my eyes, I think I probably would have fainted. So some of them, going back over now and looking at every one of them, really, really looking at them, every time I go, what is this really? And why am I seeing it? Every single day. And that's probably why I'm not sleeping well, because I just, sometimes I'll be looking for something else and I'll stumble upon it and I pull the video up and I got to look at it, and I am overwhelmed with it, with the why me.
All right, let's move on here as we have about 3 minutes to go before we have to go to break. And I want to get in a question from Jules, and this goes to your camera work. Now, you are doing this all via one camera that you have. Have you tried multiple cameras yet to capture the same effects?
No, I'm not motivated that way. I guess in the same way that a professional photographer would be motivated. Getting them at all, as clearly as I have seen some of them, is enough for me. I don't need to see them in 3 different angles, and I just don't need that right now. It's not somewhere in my head that I just videoing them at all is enough for me. Seeing them at all.
Do you want to continue seeing them?
Yeah, like I said, they're I'm not in the area. I guess I don't know what the difference was, other than I had a really clear, big view of the sky, and in the back it's a lot of obstruction. But maybe one day last week, I think it was, I go there, and I hadn't seen a light or a star in the back of my house for a while, and here was one, and I spent a lot of time with it. I was really surprised to see it, and I do get the feeling that it kind of showed up for me, and it was very interesting. Still definitely, and I'm not opposed to. I remember I was talking to John, I think it was, and I said I don't want to be abducted. I don't want to be abducted, not because I'm afraid. I just would hate for my son or my grandson to wake up and I'm not here, and they don't know where I am, and I never come back or something like that. If it's going to be like Enoch, then I'd be okay. If they take me and bring me back home, that'll be fine. I don't have any fear of being abducted or being on a journey like that.
Patricia, I'm going to get you to hold on right there because we are going to go to break here at the top of the hour. Patricia Avant, a great documentary called Black People Do See UFOs Too. More on this great topic right after this on Spaced Out Radio. I'm just going to run my dogs outside. I'll be right back, okay?
Okay.
World for the most intriguing stories of your day. Take the time to read up on the SOR Newswire, where our team, led by Captain Shirk, will deliver to you some of the best paranormal and supernatural news, along with some stories that will blow your mind from the weird to the wacky. It's the news outside the news that piques interest, and that's what we're looking to deliver to you. The SOR Newswire, only at spacedoutradio.com.
Hey, space travelers, this is John Resig, founder of the Chide and Chive Charities. If you know anything about our website, you know we like to do things a little differently. We're not some faceless organization collecting money for a nebulous cause. Our donor dollars go directly toward life-improving items. Then we give those items directly to an underdog who needs it most. To become a donor with Spaced Out Radio's official charity, Chive Charities, just go to chivecharities.org/donate.
The party is always on at the Moose Vancouver. The Moose Vancouver is where you want to be when visiting Canada's West Coast. Open until 2 a.m. nightly, the Moose cranks up the rock while serving some of the best rated food in the city. The menu starts at $6.95. Why party anywhere else in Vancouver when the Moose is right there? Get your horns up and rock with the Moose, the official party bar of Spaced Out Radio.
Hello, this is your guitar man, Ron Bumblefoot Thal, and I have to tell you, I love the response I get for Little Brother is Watching from Spaced Out Radio fans. It's amazing how music can inspire and make people think deeper about what's going on in the supernatural world. You can head over to my website, bumblefoot.com, to check out my music, my guitar workshops, my touring, even check out some of the hot sauces that I'm working on. And make sure you keep on listening, because with Spaced Out Radio, you know Little Brother is watching.
We're adding to the entertainment online for Spaced Out Radio. I'm Amber Beckrud, and I want to invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out Cryptid Tales, where I will take you on a journey into some of the strangest legends and lore from around the world, relaying the stories to you of the strange creatures and experiences that people have had throughout time. You can find Cryptid Tales at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio, and while you're there, don't forget to check out our free archives and leave a comment. See you there.
Hello, space travelers. It's me again, Carl. Don't forget to join the Space Travelers Club for just $5 a month and follow Spaced Out Radio on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio. Our Instagram, Dave Scott SOR. Our Facebook page is Spaced Out Radio Show. Our archives are free at youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Come woo it up with Spaced Out Radio today. Bye!
For the price of 1 cup of coffee a month, you can become an SOR Space Traveler. The Space Travelers Club is a place where you can interact with other listeners, either live during the show or on our great forum. We want your stories, pictures, comments, and ideas. You'll get live video streams, exclusive content, and be a part of our newsletter. Stay in touch with everything SOR. The Space Travelers Club is just $5 a month at spacedoutradio.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Ryan Stacy from the...
All right, I am back.
Okay.
When we get to the bottom of the hour break, just do me a favor. When I say goodnight to you, don't hang up. Just I'll chat with you when through the break and say a proper good night to you. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, that would really be helpful.
Hello?
Hello.
Oh, okay.
Are you having a good time?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. That's awesome. I'm glad you are. Because and looking by the comments in our audience, everybody's really enjoying you tonight.
Well, I'm glad. I don't want to upset anyone.
I don't think you're upsetting anybody. That's for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I think this has been a great show. Great show. We have just under 2 minutes left.
Okay. Well, I'm going to sip some cold tea here.
I'm going to grab my water here momentarily. All right, we just got under 90 seconds. Mandingo in New Zealand says, Patricia, we appreciate your candor and we send you love.
Oh, thank you. So what would I put? At Mandingo?
Yeah. Or just type it in. They'll get it.
Okay. And it froze.
Overprotected. We love you, Patricia. Can't wait to watch your documentary. Hi, Sharon
Thank
Gee.
you.
All right, we got about 20 seconds. Thank you to Overprotected, Mandingo, Cherry Pepsi Mike, and Cat Chaser for the awesome super chats tonight. It's a great way to support this show. Thank you for the thumbs up, and everybody who's new, who has hit that subscribe button. It's been a great show so far. We're going to continue it here with Hour 3 coming up right now.
Would you like to connect with us? Head to spacedoutradio.com for all your latest show info. Now, back to Dave Scott and SOR.
Hour number 3 of Spaced Out Radio is now underway. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. We really do appreciate earning your listening ears. I want to remind you that we really do appreciate everyone tuning in on our terrestrial affiliates around North America, digitally on TalkStream Live, Revolution Radio, and KPNL. All of our archives are free by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Just do me the favor, hit that subscribe button. The Desert Clam has set the password for tonight in the SOR Space Travelers Club. What do you got for us tonight, Clamster? Oh, yes, there it is. DeBarris. DeBarris is your password. Use it wisely, space travelers, as the Clam sets a password each and every night right here on Spaced Out Radio. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. For the final time tonight, we introduce our guest, Patricia Avant. She has a brand new documentary out called Black People See UFOs Too. You can find it by going to the website, blackpeopledo-see-ufos.com. I highly suggest you check this out. This is her own original footage. There's no researchers, no so-called experts. It's just Patricia, her camera, and these really incredible ethereal beings, if we could call them that, floating around up in the sky above her home. Patricia, welcome back to the show.
Thank you.
It's a show that's flying on by here, and I know there are a bunch of questions from our audience still, and I'd like to get to a few of those, if you don't mind.
Not a problem.
All right. Aaron is asking, has there been other people with you when you see these craft?
A lot of times I would start filming and maybe my son would come in and I'd say, look at this, do you see this? And he would look into the camera, and I have videos of him telling me good night, and then hours later telling me see you later when he's on the way out the door to work. And the only other, it was my son that saw the orange or reddish orange orbs with me. But I've always been in my house, and it's early in the morning or midnight and up to 6 or 7 a.m. or whatever. And so, no, other than my son, I've not had anybody here in the house with me.
All right. Bama is asking, Patricia, do you feel like they are trying to contact you, or have they?
I feel like they just want me to know they are there. And maybe that we're not alone, because that is always has been a question. And if that was a question that I put out there, and then this is the answer. So, but contact me to say something specifically, I don't know. You know, if they are, I don't know what would stop them.
And this is a good turn to Jenny's question here, who is asking, Patricia, I think you have been chosen to make people aware. What do you think of that idea?
Well, every time I say in my head, I don't want to do another interview, I don't want to do this, then somebody else will email me and ask me to. And so I'm beginning to believe that maybe that's true. You know, and so I'm trying not to resist anything that feels natural in the progression of this. And I'm not trying to force anything. I'm not trying to promote it in any kind of way that would be outside of what feels like the natural progression. And it just keeps progressing on its own. So that may be true.
All right. Question coming from a girl who has no name. How does your family feel about all of your experiences and now the publicity on this subject? And how did they react when you first shared these videos with them?
I'm estranged from my family aside of my son. And unless they've seen it on their own, I have not shared any of this with them.
Wow. That's kind of tough. So do you feel like you're all alone in this field, you know, doing this research and just kind of finding out about ufology?
Well, I'm not really researching anything. I'm just sharing what's happening to me. You know, I don't and accepting anyone that wants to experience it with me. I'm not looking through documents or trying to see what the government thinks about it or what are they doing, or, you know, all of the documents they've scratched out half the stuff. I'm not doing any of that. And I mean, I applaud anybody that is. I just feel like it's one-on-one. So I don't really feel like I need to do that. So I don't feel alone in that sense. No, I don't feel that, and I don't feel alone about it. I just feel like it's something that's happening to me, and I'm going to follow it until it stops.
Do you think that you have been abducted yet?
If I have, then no harm has come to me, and whatever they imparted is maybe for another life. But no, I can't say that I feel like I've been anywhere, unless you can, when you have those moments where you, and I don't know, this just may be sleep deprivation, where you don't, you can't tell if you've been asleep or not. I've been having that for a bit lately.
I think,
but where I could say, yep, somebody came in and said, come on, go with me. No. I had a third eye experience where there was definitely a voice outside of me. I wanted to have the third eye experience. So I started to try to put myself in a place to have that. And I had one night. And the reason I had is because a voice outside of me said, hurry. It told me to hurry. and I did, and I had a bit of an experience like that. But nobody has come and stood over my bed or, or nothing like that as of yet.
Oh, I think you have. You just don't know it yet. That's just my personal opinion.
How would you know? I mean, what would be the signs that one would know? Like I've got these strange marks on the inner arms, but I really think it's because I would be holding the camera so tight and trying to keep it in spot that I broke some blood vessels. But what would be the thing that would how would you know that? I mean, how would you?
Well, for me, in the hundreds of people that I have talked to on this subject, by no means am I any sort of expert. So please, take my words with a grain of salt. But usually when you have that much contact going on, and I think you have been extremely genuine and honest with what you have found and what you have filmed from the orbs on up through the documentary, which you have captured, all of those incredible ethereal beings, whatever we can call them. It just seems to me that usually there's a pattern that if you're having that much contact where you're almost, you almost know when to go outside to check on them, that they are contacting you and have probably taken you.
I don't know. Like I guess it's possible.
It's kind of weird to think about.
It is, because I would want to know. I would want to know. I would want to know what would be the point of it if I couldn't, if it couldn't solidify some question in me, give me some answer that's so solid that there's no room for even the smallest doubt, And I mean, I don't have any doubts. You can't doubt what you're videoing, right?
No, very true. Very true. But at some point, has this slowed down for you?
It slowed down because I like I said, I moved and I couldn't see. I couldn't, if I go on my porch now in the front, there's so many trees and the buildings are so tall. But in the other building, we were on the second floor and the house next to us was lower than our building. And I just had this incredible view of the sky. And then, of course, the thing across the street, that was there every morning behind the tree. So it was not hard to film that. That's the white one where it's always glowing. All of the ones with the blue sky is that particular one. But the others were in various places. And so here I can't see the sky really clear from here. But I'm beginning to get visuals in the back. So
they followed you.
That appears as such. Well, I think when I stopped, it does kind of seem like if you get off the frequency or you stop, or like I said, we had to move, and so there was a lot of drama around that. And so maybe I kind of stopped and was dealing with all that and was a little bit depressed. And then I still would get a lot of great shots of the moon, but I just seemed like I couldn't see a star or what I thought was a star, or what we call a star anywhere. And they have started to start showing up gradually,
Yeah, definitely. I think you have a connection. I mean, it's almost like you have a Kmart blue light special. Blue light shining over top of your house, and I use that term because I use that on my own house too.
Okay.
I really do. Because I got a lot of weird stuff that happens here. Lately it's been a ghost dog. Although I haven't seen the ghost dog in about 3-4 weeks, but there's a lot of weird stuff that happens, and I think that they are trying to tell you something. Have you ever, and let me take this in a little bit of a different direction here, if you don't mind, but when you're done filming and you go to sleep, do you ever dream of like symbols or have any sort of symbolism or numerology happening in your dreams?
Prior to this, I had, but I can't say that at this point, no. Prior to it all happening, I have had some of that. In fact, that number that just went by, 1111, but that might be in somebody's name. I saw it before, but no, nope, I've not had any. I think I can say this honestly. I had started reading ancient text. One of course, and I don't know if the Arcane Teachings is necessarily not an ancient text, but it's a pretty old book. And that, and then the Science of Getting Rich, outside of the idea that it's talking about money, it has a lot of spiritual wisdom in it. And so one by one, these kind of books and texts started coming into my life, and the Pistis Sophia in particular. And for me, I don't know how anybody else would feel about this. The Pistis Sophia seemed to have a kind of a mind expansioning experience for me, and I can't say specifically. I guess because it seems to be clearly stating a lot of things that just made sense. It made sense out of a lot of things, but it also was kind of scary in a way too. But so I think it's a combination of always wanting to know, eventually things coming into my my path, information, and then this happened. So it has to be all related, I think.
Where do you see this going from here? What do you want to happen or expect to happen?
Really, as I said, it's happening on its own. Whatever is supposed to happen around it appears to be happening on its own. And so I've made up my mind, I'm not gonna push it one way or the other. So I think, I'm on Twitter and it flies up and then it dies down, and then the next thing I know, something happens and it flies up again. And so I'm just leaving it there. I'll put up what I see. People can make of it, what they will. And I don't really have any, I only am concerned for myself at least, in where it leads me spiritually.
And where do you feel that spirituality is?
I believe it's leading me to the act of reincarnation and preparation, for that, whether I want to come back or not, and placing me pulling me out of the worldly existence into the other realm, which is probably a great deal more important. And the decisions that you would have to make, say, once you start to separate from your body. I don't want to flip back, in other words. I want to be prepared, and I want to prepare anybody that feels that way, and my son and my children, my grandchildren. I want them to understand they don't have to come back here. But you have to know that, you have to believe that, you have to understand that. And if these entities are symbolic of what you see, what you would need to recognize once you are leaving this planet. And if you don't know that, then you might flip right back. And I tend to think that this is not going anywhere. it just goes through cycles on this planet from really good to really bad, and you can keep flipping back into it and have these terrible experiences, if you don't start to develop your conscious outside of what this world seems to be trying to drag us into, money and things, and you get those kind of connections, you have regrets, and you die, and your regrets and your desire for those things can pull you back down here, prepared or not.
Go ahead, please.
If I do get to come back and make a choice, then and if this is part of understanding that, then that would be great.
Kira has a question for you. She is asking if when you were having these sightings and filming them, did any of these craft have any sort of sound whatsoever?
Yes. But you can hear, you have to, none of the swirling orbs, just the ones that fly by. I don't know if you saw those yet, Dave, but the kind of green and gold things. There's a thing on Adobe Pro. It's called a luminosity graph or something. And on a couple of occasions, I would let the video run and pull up that graph. And on two of them, you can not only see the luminosity, I guess that's what it is, of the change in the atmosphere that they're making, but there is a sound before they, and it's a very scary sound. It's not scary, but it's very eerie. But just on that one, not on any of the other ones.
We have only about 2.5 minutes left to go with you tonight, and this is a show that has flown on by, and I want to say thank you for staying up late and telling our audience about your incredible documentary. What message do you want people to know from this?
I don't think I really have any message. I just, if you think that you can learn something from this, by all means, I hope that you do, if it moves you in some kind of way. But I don't have a message.
It's just about you showing the world what you've seen. It's that simple.
I'm just that simple. I decided that I don't even know if I decided. Like I said, I've never made a documentary before. I had no idea how to do it. And it came together in such a way that I felt like it was the right thing to do. It was meant to be done. And so that's what I did. And I'm just sharing what I've seen. And I'm sharing it because I saw so many of them. And I really want people to, I would like to know what other people think about them,
Well, I can personally say this, and I'm sure I'm speaking for a lot of people who are listening to this show and hearing you for the first time. I think you're a breath of fresh air. I really do believe that you are a breath of fresh air, because there are so many in this community that are looking to, self-aggrandize themselves in this community. I don't get that feeling from you at all. I think you just want to share with the world some really cool things that you've been able to capture, and that's what you're doing, and you're sticking to it. And I commend you for that, and thank you for being a refreshing face, voice, and videographer to this community.
Well, you're welcome. Thank you for feeling that way. Thank you. I do. I just want to share it. And I'm glad that you and other people are giving me that opportunity to do that. I'm really amazed that anybody wants to hear anything I got to say.
Well, we definitely do, and I definitely want to do this again with you, because I think you're absolutely brilliant, and you're just a pleasure to talk to. Patricia Avant, thank you so much for coming on Spaced Out Radio. The pleasure definitely was ours.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Patricia Avant, everybody. Her website, where you can check out the documentary. I highly suggest you do. blackpeopledoseeUFOs.com. It's a great short documentary of her actions, which she's caught. Well worth it. So make sure you check it on out. The news and the thought of the day are up next on Spaced Out Radio. That was awesome. That was awesome. If you were in studio right now, I'd be giving you a giant hug. COVID or not, I'd be giving you a giant hug. I'm going to give you a number of claps for this.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you very much.
You're a beautiful soul. Hey, Chill Farm, how you doing? You are a beautiful soul, and you are a breath of fresh air to ufology. I know you're not a ufologist. You're just doing your own thing, and I think that's what all of us are loving and respecting you for.
Thank you. I really appreciate the support. I do. And it's just been a very interesting journey so far.
Well, may it continue, because I think you've got aliens, and I think that it wouldn't surprise.
I love that.
It wouldn't surprise me.
I think I want to give me a T-shirt that says "I've got aliens." Back.
I have them. I have them.
Oh, are you kidding?
Yeah, I'm just getting ready to get the printing done, and once the new website is up, you could go there, or maybe I'll just send you one.
That's so cool. I just love that. You've got aliens, you know.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. I think you're incredible, and you were well-deserved for every compliment that you were getting in our chat room tonight.
Oh, thank you.
Patricia, I will let you go get some sleep, because I got to get ready for the news here, but thank you so much. Please stay in touch. I had just a wonderful time with you, and I really hope that we could do this again.
Same here, Dave. You have a good night. Thank you.
Take care. Good night.
You too. Bye-bye.
Okay, how can you not love her? Honestly, how can you not love her? I think we should all get together, invite her to Vegas, and give her a giant group hug at the SOR party. That's what I think. You telling me. Thank you, Super Kira, for that wonderful super chat. Appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's awesome. Thank you. Yay me. Yay you. Golden Lee, how are you? Or is it Golden Lee A? Toronto says, thank you, Pat. Oh, you're in Toronto. Very cool. Are you listening on, because I don't think you're Lee A, who's normally here. Are you? Are you the same person? I don't know. But we're glad you're here. Thank you for joining us. Toronto. We may have Leafs fans here, people. We may have Leafs fans in the building. Let's all just, make sure our buttons are done up right to the top. Leafs fans. I didn't see your question, Sovereign Farts. Chrismo, thank you so much for that. Is that a euro? Is that what that symbol is? Euro? Thank you. Brian, I am a Canucks fan, but I am number one in my heart. I am an Edmonton Oilers fan. I didn't see your question. Don't make accusations. I've had enough accusations this week to last another full year. Hey, Desert Clam. That was one heck of a password for tonight. You are the brilliancy behind the password. Dave is not a Leafs fan. Brian, such harsh words. Such harsh words. You're welcome, Nimkish. Good night, Mandingo. Have a great afternoon for you over in New Zealand. Hey, dude, I hope you're safe from all those earthquakes, by the way. Please update us before you leave. We've rounded third. We're heading for home tonight on Spaced Out Radio. My name is Dave Scott. Thank you so much for tuning us in. We really do appreciate it. Want to remind you that if you've missed most of this show or others, check out our free archives by going to youtube.com/Spaced Out Radio. Do old Davey the favor, hit that subscribe button. Our website is spacedoutradio.com, where we have a plethora of features for you, including rocking out to Bumblefoot and reading up on Captain Shirk's SOR Newswire. Follow us on Twitter at Spaced Out Radio and on Instagram at Spaced Out Radio Show. Speaking of the news, let's get to it, shall we? The news is always changing, which is why we bring you the SOR Newswire at the back end of every show, where we get to the weird, the strange, the wacky, and sometimes the scary part. Yeah, I'm just checking in with one of our listeners, Mandingo here, who actually lives in New Zealand, and there were no tsunami warnings from those giant earthquakes there. But thank goodness that he was able to get through those, and we're appreciative that you were able to make it here, Mandingo, and hope everybody in your country is doing great and isn't too shaken up, no pun intended. But, yeah, hopefully everything is good. And, these big quakes scare me, man. They really do scare me. Sad news in Canada, where hockey dad, otherwise known as Canada's hockey dad, Walter Gretzky, has passed away at the age of 82. Yes, he is the father of hockey legend Wayne Gretzky. The patriarch of hockey's most famous family, Wayne credits Walter's coaching on the family's backyard rink in Brantford, Ontario, as the foundation that allowed him to become the NHL's all-time leading scorer. Walter was named to the Order of Canada in 2007 for his contributions to minor hockey in Canada and for his dedication to helping a myriad of local, provincial, and national charities. Walter Gretzky Elementary School in Brantford was opened and named in his honor in 2012, and he also took part in the final leg of the running of the Olympic torch for the 2010 Winter Olympic Games in Vancouver. He wrote 2 books on family, hockey, and healing in 2003, and Gretzky, From the Backyard Rink to the Stanley Cup in 1985. His wife Phyllis died of lung cancer in 2005. He is survived by children Wayne, Kim, Keith, Glenn, and Brent, his grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. I'm just heartbroken over this. Really, I am. I got to meet him once. What a fine gentleman and human being, honestly. I've never seen a man who is literally surrounded by strangers and literally takes the time to say hello, shake hands, and talk to almost everybody who was around him. What a gentleman. We will miss him here in Canada. Rest in peace, Walter Gretzky. Well, here's a weird one from New York. Supernatural squatters? New York City woman is convinced her apartment is haunted after uncovering a creepy hidden room straight out of a horror flick. She documented the spine-tingling discovery in a series of TikTok videos that have collectively amassed millions of views. Seriously, I never would have expected to find this, and I documented all of it, writes Samantha Hartsoe, which posts a staggering 7.4 million watches. Now, in this bone-chilling video titled A New York Mystery, the perplexed renter reveals that she had felt cold air blowing from her bathroom, despite the fact that it had no working vent. Initially, thinking nothing of it, she became intrigued after discovering that the draft was actually coming from behind the bathroom mirror. The plot thickens in part 2 when Hartsoe and her friends decide to remove the mirror, revealing a dilapidated hallway with a hidden room at the end. One of her pals compares it to the secret dungeon from the movie Parasite. I have to figure out what's going on the other side of my bathroom, intones Hartsoe, before climbing through the hole into the sheetrock and into this spooky space, leaving the rest of her impromptu Scooby-Doo crew on the other side. Needless to say, TikTok viewers were on the edge of their seats. "Are you okay? Do you need me to call someone?" wrote one concerned citizen. Another wondered if Hartsoe made it back, given that it had been 3 hours and the Explorer hadn't posted an update. Others compared the scenario to the movie Candyman, in which a woman summons a malevolent spirit by calling his name 5 times in the mirror. Unfortunately, Hartsoe's apartment reveal, which doesn't happen until part 4, is a bit anticlimactic. After pursuing the space while armed with a hammer, Hartsoe discovers what appears to be a whole nother apartment, with a disconnected toilet, some exposed pipes, and a few trash bags and boxes. Made it out alive, she says, after exiting the space, and adding that she's replacing the bathroom mirror. My landlord's getting a really fun phone call tomorrow. Yep, no ghosts there, just some weirdness. Oh, this one has a lot of tension to it. This could break Canada and the United States into war. Literally. This goes be almost as high as hockey in that stature. Well, you see, what's causing this friction? Let me tell you. An Instagram post from the New York Times Cooking has raised the ire of Canadians from ocean to ocean to ocean, particularly us on the West Coast, for depicting the Nanaimo bar incorrectly. Commentators decried the imposter bar as having not enough custard, with one saying, "You left out the Nanaimo in your bar." Steve Walker-Duncan, chair of the Culinary Arts program at Camosun College of Victoria, has to agree. The ratio is kind of all wrong. The bottom layer base, the coconut chocolate, and the custard layer should, in my mind, be more equal, and the chocolate layer on the top should be very thin and delicate. And it's not just an aesthetic issue. It is a physics issue. The thickness of the chocolate will impact the way it eats, Walter Duncan says. If it's too thick, it breaks and pushes the custard out, and you end up with a mess. It's kind of like having a hamburger with a bun that's too small. You take one bite, everything falls out of the back end. The popular 3-layer no-bake dessert, made up of chocolatey coconut crust, yellow custard, and chocolate topping, is named after Nanaimo, BC, my former home, where it was invented in the 1950s. The bars gained widespread popularity after Vancouver-based author and caterer Susan Mendelson pushed a recipe for the sweet treat in her 1980 cookbook, Mama Never Cooked Like This. A woman who owned a cookbook store in Toronto sold over 1,000 cookbooks to people who just came in for the Nanaimo bar recipe. But fame has its price. The Nanaimo bar and its fans are critical of a postage stamp issued by Canada Post depicting the Nanaimo bar with a larger-than-standard custard layer. You don't mess with the custard, people. And the New Yorkers, they messed with the custard. They made it ugly, they ruined it, and I'm telling you, we're willing to drop the gloves over the Nanaimo bar. Yes, we are. Street artist Banksy has confirmed what we told you just last night about the story about this really cool artwork that appeared on the wall of Reading Prison. The picture shows a prisoner, possibly resembling famous inmate Oscar Wilde, escaping on a rope made of bedsheets tied to a typewriter. It comes as campaigners continue to lobby for the former jail to be turned into an arts hub rather than being sold for housing. The guerrilla artist confirmed the work through a video on his website. The clip, entitled Create Escape, shows the piece being created under the cover of darkness, set to archive commentary from American painter Bob Ross. The Ministry of Justice says it was aware that Banksy has confirmed that he is responsible for the graffiti. We are considering the next steps and will provide an update in due course, it added. Reading Borough Council said Banksy's involvement suggested he was backing the campaign to save the prison. It said, we are thrilled that Banksy appears to have thrown his support behind the council's desire to transform the vacant Reading Gaol into a beacon of arts, heritage, and culture with his piece of artwork he has aptly called Create Escape. The council is pushing the Ministry of Justice, who owns the site, to make suitable arrangements to protect the image, as they should. Oh, he's still my favorite painter. He's awesome, Banksy. All right, with her father in a nursing home and coronavirus restrictions keeping them apart, Lisa Racine had a great gesture on how to get to her dad. She was creative, she had a good resume, and guess what? She found a solution. She took a custodial job as Good Samaritan Society in Stillwater, Minnesota, a gig that would allow her not only a second paycheck, but access to her father, Harold. One day I was just thinking, how can I see my dad more, Racine said. I thought, hey, why don't I get a job there? For Harold, who is 87, seeing his daughter walk into the nursing home in December after she was hired was a pleasant surprise, giving what he called one of the happiest days of his life. He said, I was really shocked. I was kind of dumbfounded. How did you get in? Racine's new job at the facility is worlds away from her full-time job as a project manager for a printing company. Instead of dressing in business casual, she dons an apron to mop the floor and scrape the plates in the kitchen part-time on nights and weekends. Though she joked that the gig is quite glamorous, she did say that being able to be with her widowed father is priceless. I can't believe they pay me for this, she said. I could take a yoga class or go to happy hour, but I'd rather come and mop the floor and clean dishes just so I could see my dad. He's cleaned up plenty of messes after me in the past. Time to return the favor. Meanwhile, Racine's help has also been much appreciated by the facility. Her cousin, Renee, is an administrator at Good Samaritan and said the pandemic has made it difficult to fill open positions. Having her reach out and wanting to come to work was an absolute godsend for us. All right. A woman in Alabama has been charged with second-degree theft of property and cruelty to animals for allegedly abducting a baby goat, then using food coloring to paint the animal purple, blue, and green. Online prison records confirm the charges against Erica Farmer. Natasha Harris, who says little Billy the Kid is her granddaughter's goat, wants authorities to drop the charges, though, calling the whole incident a big misunderstanding. Harris had called deputies about Billy's abduction on Saturday night after returning to her home in Lillian to find the animal missing. Harris did tell police that her goats often wander around her rural neighborhood, but was worried that ill-intentioned teenagers had taken the kid. The next morning, Billy, who was born on Christmas Eve, scampered back home, much to Harris's relief. However, the goat had been colored from head to hoof with food coloring and colored shampoo. I thought the kids held down my goat and they was mean to him, Harris said. That's all I could think about. Harris still concerned that teens were behind Billy's colorful makeover, those darn teenagers. Basically, called police and say, hey, this is what happened. Hours later, they arrested Farmer after allegedly finding out via Snapchat video that she had colored Billy. Harris learned of the arrest by watching the evening news, and she was just dumbfounded. It was them darn teenagers of today. They have no respect. Harris said that she called Farmer and said, I told her I was sorry. I'd do anything to help her get the charges taken off of her. Now I know my goat was just died, and there was no harm. He's fine. He's running around. Two women are now friends, says Farmer, who was in Lillian visiting a cousin when Billy sauntered up to her. The Gulf Shores woman said she took the animal home to show her daughter. Come on, drop the charges. $1,000 bail for painting a goat. $1,000 bail. Oh. Those darn teenagers. We gotta get them whippersnappers, just get them away from that bad habit of painting goats. Does anybody else find that funny? Or is it just me? I don't know. Maybe it's just me. Darn teenagers. Biologists with the Florida Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission said they were catching largemouth bass for research when they made a surprising discovery. When they pulled up one of the bass and they, locked the lid out, and then they, so the bass can't talk or even breathe, it kind of paralyzes them. You know what I'm talking about, when they put their thumb in the bottom jaw and then crank it up. Yeah, I just tried that. Hold on, let's try it again. Maybe I can read this story like this. Anyways, what happened there was they actually found a live turtle in the fish's stomach. The Commission and Wildlife Research Institute said biologists were collecting tissue samples from the fish when they were caught earlier in the day by an airboat in the Everglades when a member of the team spotted something highly unusual. There was movement coming from the stomach of a bass. The biologist carefully opens the stomach, and something unexpected was inside, a live turtle. Live turtles are not something biologists normally find amongst the stomach contents of largemouth bass. The Institute said the biologists carefully extracted the turtle from the stomach of the fish, and after determining that it was still healthy, they released it back in the water so it could be fish food for another largemouth bass. Hopefully this time the turtle learns that bass are not friends, they are there for food. Pizza might not be a natural part of a squirrel's diet, but these tree-scaling rodents are not letting that stop them. That's what Allison and Matt Robicelli showed folks when they shared firsthand accounts of a video of a pizza-loving squirrel in Baltimore with the Takeout, a food publication. Yeah. While it's not clear where the slice came from, Matt spotted the squirrel grabbing the pizza and climbing up a tree with all of it in front of their front porch. He reportedly watched the squirrel for around 10 minutes and shared a 50-second clip of the small mammal eating the gourmet meal, later posted on YouTube. And however, Maryland isn't the only state that squirrels like to dine on pizza. Apparently this is happening elsewhere, much like UFOs, squirrels eating pizza. This is going to become the new Pokemon Go. See if you can find a squirrel eating a slice of pizza. In fact, the strange dietary preference has become so much of a common occurrence in the last few years that hashtag pizza squirrel is now trending on social media, including TikTok and Instagram. Some fans have gone a step further and have made accounts dedicated to highlighting squirrels eating pizzas and other foods typically enjoyed by humans like burgers and tacos. When they're not getting caught eating pizzas from trees and other elevated spots, squirrels have been found to snag a few slices from deliveries that are left on the front porches. There are more than 200 species of squirrels around the world. For the most part, squirrels are considered omnivores that mainly eat nuts and seeds, berries, bark, roots, plants, and sometimes insects, eggs, and other small animals, depending on the species. According to Pest Control Service, the Wildlife Whisperer, an average adult squirrel eats about a pound of food per week. Moreover, most species can reach impressive speeds and jump several feet, which comes in handy when you're carrying your pizza slice up a tree. And finally tonight, let's get to this one. Vicki Baker had an unusual plea for police officers in McKinney, Texas, when she learned an armed fugitive had holed up in her home. Don't destroy the property. Well, apparently the SWAT team didn't hear that message. Didn't work. During an hours-long standoff with a man and a 15-year-old girl inside, SWAT officers shot approximately 30 tear gas canisters into Baker's property, blew up her garage door, and drove an armored vehicle over her fence. The teenager got out of the house, but by the time the cops stormed the property, the fugitive had killed himself in Baker's bedroom. Oh, that's pleasant. Baker's belongings, and some of them irreplaceable, were ruined by the tear gas. Even her daughter's dog, which came out running out of the house during the standoff, ended up nearly blind and completely deaf. So while Baker had nothing to do with the events behind the police confrontation, she wasn't even in the state that day, but she still suffered the punishment. There was 2 days that I couldn't get off the couch that I cried, she said. She'd recently signed a contract to sell the property too. The 76-year-old needed the money to fund her retirement, but thanks to extensive damage, the sale of the home quickly fell through. The city of McKinney refused to help her out financially, and Baker's insurance provider told her it wouldn't cover any of the destruction caused by the government. Ultimately, Baker was stuck with a $50,000 repair bill in damages. Distraught, Baker later discovered that she wasn't alone. Other innocent people have seen their property torn up by the police and gotten squat in compensation. Now Baker, in an effort to reverse that trend, is suing the city of McKinney for damages with the help of the Institute for Justice, a libertarian public interest law firm. What I want is justice for everybody this happens to, she said. In 2015, for example, Colorado cops blew up a man's home while trying to get an armed shoplifting suspect. More than 4 years later, a federal appeals court decided the property owner wasn't entitled to compensation to cover the wreckage since police were preserving public safety. The homeowner had no connection to the shoplifting suspect. The Institute for Justice petitioned the Supreme Court to review the case, which the High Court declined to do so in June of last year. The government is supposed to pay up for the damage it caused, even if that destruction is the result of something good, like trying to arrest a fugitive, according to Baker's lawsuit with the Institute for Justice. Under the Takings Clause of the Constitution's Fifth Amendment, private property can't be taken for public use without just compensation. Texas's Constitution similarly calls for adequate compensation if a person's private property is taken, damaged, or destroyed during public use, the lawsuit notes. Still, a growing number of lower courts have invented an exception to the rules. Destruction caused by police, according to Jeffrey Redfern, an attorney at the Institute for Justice who is working on Barker's case. That interpretation is incorrect, he said. Intentional damage caused by the government is supposed to be compensational. Wow. Make sure no criminals come in your house, because your house is going to get gutted in the States. Thank you to everybody taking part in the Thought of the Day of today. Sorry we didn't have time to get to it, but we will do it all again sometime soon. Let's try very soon. How about that? Really, really soon. And thank you to Captain Shirk for a wonderful SOR Newswire, which can be found on our website, to our great guest, Patricia Avant. Make sure you check out her documentary, Black People See UFOs Too. Very well worth it. You will love it. We got Mr. Ron Bumblefoot Thal rocking in the background with Little Brother Is Watching. Bumblefoot is the official music of Spaced Out Radio, rocking us in and out of every single show. Get your horns up for the guitar god himself. Special thanks to everybody listening in at home, at work, in your cars, wherever you may be. Thank you to everyone participating in our chat rooms tonight on Spreaker, YouTube, LGAB, Revolution Radio, the Space Travelers Club on our website, Facebook, and Twitter at #SpacedOutRadio. Remember, this show is copyright by Spaced Out Radio and SOR Media Ventures Limited. Thank you so much for choosing to share your evening with us, because together, my friends, say it with me, we own the night. Mr. Bumblefoot, we need a favor. We need you to take us home. Yes, the Woo train has docked for the night, but soon, my friends, we shall ride again. Your seats are always available. Your tickets never expire. And if you want to bring a friend, we've got room for them too. Good night.